Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Cloud Conversations. It's Rukam here as usual, and I'm joined by my co-host who came back for the new year, fortunately, didn't run away. Kat, how are you?
I'm okay. I thought you were going to say unfortunately then. I was ready to just walk out this room. But I'm really, really good. Yeah, it's good to be back after the new year. And I'm really excited to kick us off, from my perspective anyway, with our wonderful guest this evening, which is Sara Lagerquist, who has a whole list of achievements. Microsoft Business Apps MVP, conference speaker, blogger, very, very active in the community. But I won't kind of steal your thunder too much, Sara, if that's all right. And I'll pass to you to introduce yourself to the audience. Who are you? What do you do? And tell them a little bit about yourself. That would be great.
Well, yes, thank you for having me, Sarah. So I'm Sarah. I'm 33-year-old woman living in Stockholm, Sweden. I work as a business and application consultant, working within Microsoft Business Power Platform world, designing and implementing solutions mostly.
Amazing. You didn't actually always work in tech, though, is that right?
No,
Was there a transition period? Can you tell us a little bit about that, about what you did before and how you tried kind of transition into tech? Because I'm the same. I didn't do tech before I did
interesting.
tech. So,
Well, I was one of those who really, really bored with school and like, I'm not going to continue studying. I need to do something else. So I did this thing where I worked like two jobs and then went travel for a couple of months, then two jobs and then travel a couple of months and did like that. So the jobs I generally get was like some administration, something like that. So there was one of these jobs, pretty plain administration. It was an IT company selling education within IT. So typical like service, configure service, everything that IT related. So I was the
yeah.
one putting up the schedule and like just hiring teachers here and there and setting up that. And then they needed a new system to handle the bookings of everyone going to the training sessions. And we implemented CRM 2011. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. Um, and so we had this consultancy firm, and of course they cost money every hour. So I started to figure out stuff on my own, things that I was not supposed to poke my fingers in. I poked my fingers in, messed up a couple of times too, and then when everything was in place, I was supposed to go back to my like regular work tasks, and I was like, no, I don't really feel like I'm up for that. And then the consultancy that I've been working with asked if I wanted to join them instead.
Amazing.
So
So
yeah,
it's quite funny when it's the curiosity of what does this do? If this does this, what else does this do? It's trial and error, I find, gets you
yeah, and
excited
also
about it as
like
well.
I could make my own job so much easier with like, okay, so
Yeah.
what if I create a workflow that just automates this part of my job? Wouldn't that be awesome? And then I could do that. I'm like, oh, this is all I want to do, just automate things. This is,
Just
yeah,
get the technology to do it for me. Save
yeah.
me time. That's I
It's
mean that's
kind of
that's what it's
fun too
for.
because last December was the first time that I was actually hired as a trainer for that company that I started out as an administrator. So it's kind of like full
Oh,
circle. I'm like, oh my God, I was the one hiring all these trainers, and now they want to hire me because I know what I'm talking about.
amazing. So you've kind of gone from here, I'm going to fix this and automate this process, dig your fingers in, and now you've kind of gone expert, gone back. Here's what I've learned, everyone. Here's now how to do it for everyone else.
Yeah.
I've gone and figured it out. Amazing. I know there's so it's Power Platform like Biz Apps, Power Platform, that type of thing. Obviously, because of the lead from automating, an element of your job got you interested in it. Would you say there's a particular favorite thing or feature about biz apps that you have, or a least favorite? We'll go the other way.
Okay, so start with favorite. I think it's easy to like have favorites when what you're familiar with. And for me, like doing model-driven apps in Dataverse is what CRM 2011 actually is, which where I started. But then you have Power Automate, which is my passion to automate things. So being an ex-user, that's the most fun thing too, because I can really relate to the person that I'm helping. So to me, would I say a favorite? That would be probably Power Automate now, because I can do so much with it. Least favorite, I'm not too sure.
Oh, wait till you fix the headset. What I was going to say is, don't worry, we are recording it, but we can say least favorites with Microsoft watching.
Least favorite. No, I'm not sure I have one, because there's obviously features that you feel that are maybe more incomplete than others, that have some wishing, like there's a couple of products that maybe doesn't always have the proper application lifecycle management, where you can like deploy it in a secure manner from dev to test to production. That process is really important for me, because I'm really I really care about quality. So to me, that part is kind of lacking in some of the products. Is frustrating. But yeah.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting it, to say it's incomplete. That's
Yes. I've rarely been called diplomatic, so that was yes.
There you
I'll
go.
take that.
Yeah, there's a first. There's a first. And I guess because you talk about having that that empathy with the user that you're training, and you're thinking it through and thinking, well, I was on that side of the fence once, right? I wasn't the expert, and now I guess you're on the other side of the fence. You're teaching folks from a point of being an expert. If you are just, what's the best way to approach that scenario then, where you've got someone, they're a bit, I guess, anxious maybe because they're not a techie person, but we know that the Power Platform and things like Power Automate Flow, it makes it easy, right? So how do you convince them that, hey, yes, you can do this?
I think it's about approaching tech from a non-tech way. Like, so most what I do, people call it tech, but most things I do is talk about processes and how people work and what are frustrating for them, and then I use tech to solve it. So I think if someone is interested, you can just like, okay, so what parts do you like talking about all these things that has something to do with Power Platform and tech and everything, but that's just a solution. You need to figure out the problem first. So if they feel like, okay, well, I can figure out problems, then you can figure out the solution too. That's just learning basic tech thingies. It's not as important as the finding out the problem.
It's a good point, because I guess one of the things that technical people have a tendency to do is decide the solution before they've really figured out what the problem is, right?
Yeah. I've had situations too where they're like, okay, so we want to use this tech. What can we use it for? And I'm like, well, what's your problem? What do you need it for? Yeah.
Yes, that's a really good point. I mean, one of the things that I've been looking at and getting more involved in, which I get really excited about, is Power Virtual Agents. Have you played around with that? I just thought so
unfortunately
cool.
only played. I haven't implemented it. I've been on my way to implement it once, but it never happened. So I've mostly played. I've done like a super simple internal one. But yes, I love the idea of it. I love how simple it is. I love how logic it is, and I really want to implement it soon, hopefully.
And for the uninitiated like me, the idiots, what is the Power Agents capability?
Well, it's a chatbot pretty much, and you can publish it either in Teams or on a website. if you're doing it on a website, it costs a license. But if you have Microsoft Teams, you can have a chatbot free of charge doing internal stuff. I would say like it's perfect for scenarios where there's something that a user needs to do very rarely, but there's no point in teaching them how to use an app of any kind. Then you use the Power Virtual Agent. They can talk natural language and just say what they want to do. The Power Virtual Agent can lead them through different phases, and you get a result. Pretty cool.
It's so cool. The best thing about it, from my perspective, is no code. Like as far as I could do a bit of an adaptive card, but that's as far as I'll go, and I'll copy and paste. Like I'm not writing any code. Copy and paste that stuff into Power Automate, and I was like, oh my god, I can literally choose what this bot will do and say to this person, and you can put in like your topics where it's like, oh, hello, great greetings, and it'll be hi, hello, good morning, and just as the variation. It's very cool. It's very, very. Yes. I've been recently playing with it. That's why I brought it up.
Yes, I love the no code part, and I feel also if we're going back to the people who could be a bit scared about going into tech, I think this whole debate about talking about code or no code. So I don't code. I do like you, maybe adaptive cards, maybe some bit of JSON in a Power Automate flow or something, but not that much. The thing is that what you need to learn is just how to think logical, like you do with code, and then you can use all these tools that are in Power Platform and other Microsoft products and create the logic without actually knowing the language itself. So I don't think people should be afraid that they don't know the language of SQL, C# or whatever. They should just learn the how to structure logic, and then you can use no code tools.
If someone is kind of technically minded, maybe they do come from a programming background, would they still find any use of Power Automate, or is it more for that person who's right at the beginning? Where does it fit into maybe someone that does have development experience?
I don't think it has to do with fitting a certain person, more like a certain solution. Power Automate is great for applications and stuff that change rapidly, that you need to be flexible, and many makers need to edit the same flow, for example. While if you're having like a critical integration between two systems, I wouldn't use flows. Then I would ask a pro developer to write some code. So I think it's about like what product is what tech is the best fit for the solution more than the person. But I know developers that absolutely use Power Automate and no code tools in general, because they're like, okay, for this scenario, this is what is needed.
And so you mentioned how kind of if you are looking at maybe a highly business critical integration between systems, maybe look at something else. If I'm looking at Power Automate and I'm thinking, what should I not use this for? Like, what are the gotchas that you would say, hey, maybe take a step back and maybe it's not appropriate? Or is it flexible enough to kind of do anything?
Good question. I don't like to focus on what's not possible. That's so boring. And again,
go on. There's got to be something. It can't do everything.
Well, actually, I think there's somewhere still in the documentation that says like don't use Power Automate for business critical things, but people do it all the time. Because business critical is also very subjective. Like, what is business critical?
Yeah.
So, and also like Power Automate is flexible in a way that you can do some error handling within the flow and catch and release and like all those steps to make sure that if this fails, do this. So I wouldn't be too scared, but absolutely, if it's too complex, maybe you shouldn't do it with flow.
Fair enough. Good advice.
Boo, bad question. No, I'm just...
Yes,
we love Power Automate.
Can you ask the questions instead?
Yep.
Oh, that's fine. Right. Well, moving swiftly on from the tech side of stuff. Congratulations on being awarded MVP again. Is it your 3-time MVP now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I bet, is that time flown by?
Kind of, yeah. Last year was a bit weird too, so yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, doing everything remote.
Yeah,
and all
that
the
too. But
conferences.
also, I got cancer last year, so I was like off the grid for 10 months, and was like, oh, I'm probably not gonna get renewed, and I don't care because I'm lying here with chemo right now, and not really
Yeah.
feeling up to doing contributions. But yeah, I got re-awarded, and yeah.
I think it would be pretty poor of them to use that as a reason not to.
Yeah.
I think
you could have had a valid reason to maybe not go to conferences and do all this. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
no. But I've seen that Rue actually brought it up that you've got a session at the Scottish Summit talking about your kind of how cancer changed your life. Can you give us like a sneak peek of what that session's kind of going to be talking about? Because it's obviously a kind of big thing. That's
so I know Mark Christie, which is one of the organizers. I think I spoke at his first Scottish event, and I was asking him like, okay, so I want to submit for this year. Do you want a personal session or do you want me to do a techie session? Because I'm kind of been out of it for a while. I'm not sure what I have that is relevant. I've been on the sofa for 10 months. And he's like, no, I want a personal one. And then I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do a personal one. What do I have to talk about? Cancer. And so I promised to show like really personal photos from my phone from the whole experience, and talk about all the side effects, both physical and mentally, and what was going through my head at the time. And I'm probably like an oversharer. So if you're uncomfortable with that, don't go to my session.
Warning now, everyone.
Yes. So yeah, that's the whole bit. Yeah.
I think that's amazing because that can help. You don't think it could be, useful and a useful insight, but you don't know how many people have relatives and who have friends who maybe have gone through or going through the same thing, and to just have a little bit of not empathy, but kind of a bit of understanding, right? Okay,
what it's like.
Yeah,
but
what
also
it's like.
Also, I hope that it could be for people who can't relate at all. I hope it could be like an insight to a discussion about work-life balance, because that's mostly my insights now. I have decided not to work full time. I work 75%, so 30 hours a week is all I do. Then I do fun stuff, and I would never have prioritized that before I got sick, because I would be like, no, I need to do this and this and this and this, and being all like stressed. And now I have completely different priorities, and I don't think I had an unhealthy work-life balance before, but I think it's very different now. So yeah.
We talk about that a lot on the show, don't we? Is work-life balance and how, we need to do this and this. But I think that your kind of statement there of saying, like, after that experience, I've learned to flip it, will impact people more than us saying, oh, we should probably cut down. Do you know what I mean? It's a much more impactful message. So I mean, I'm also going to the Scottish Summit, and so is Rue. And you are, Rue, aren't you? You are.
I am, yes.
Going to this one
yes.
now. So we definitely will check out that session. That sounds amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Sounds really inspiring, because it's, I'll be honest, one of the at home here, we went through some kind of some medical difficulties at the end of last year, and it was kind of eye-opening to me how it was something that hit us completely out of the blue. It's one of those things you kind of wander ignorantly through life, not expecting something like that. That happens to other people, never crosses your mind, and then it hits you, and you are hit with so many emotions at the time, like, what have I been doing with my life? Where do I want to go with my life? How do I stay strong in the face of this? And it's something that I've certainly thought of a lot over the last 3 months is it's just amazing how much one health problem hits you, and it really changes your whole outlook on life. So really
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing your session about that.
Yeah, I can so relate to everything you said right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Cool. Well, look forward to seeing you. Will you be making the trip to Scotland, or are you doing it remotely?
Oh no, definitely, I'm coming. So I'm so
Awesome.
glad they
Cool.
announced dates which I can actually go to.
They
So
did.
I'm like, yes, you picked
10th and
the right one.
11th of June, wasn't it? 10th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're in June, so at least we'll get kind of good weather, maybe, hopefully.
Ah.
February in Scotland is not nice. So,
Well, no,
so
the other ones have been in January and February. So I've been to Scotland at the best of times.
yeah. If you say it's the best of times, then fair enough.
Oh, it's
But
been
no,
so
it
much
should be
fun.
good.
Are you looking forward then this year to do it? Because you went to the South Coast Summit last year,
Yeah.
which is where we met, which I came to one of your sessions, and then I snuck up at the end. You're like, come on the show. I'm always on, always on. But yeah, that session was really good. It was really, that was my first in-person event or conference that I'd gone to in the community. And it was absolutely amazing. So I can't wait for more. Are you intending to kind of come down for more events? Are there any other ones around the world that you might be going to as well, not just the UK?
Well, I'm really engaged at events. I love to go to them and speak, and it's really a adrenaline kick for me. So I'm going to a Power Platform conference in Berlin in April. I have 2 sessions there. And we're actually organizing Nordic Summit 24th of September. Some promo
Cool.
here.
Amazing.
So everyone should come to Stockholm because that's where we're having it this year. And then I'm probably going to submit to many things that will open call for speakers and keep my fingers crossed I get picked, because yeah, I do really love it. I've been to London and Amsterdam and Texas and Orlando and all over to conferences, and I love it.
Nice. And do you find that, because like the whole MVP community thing is a big thing, and it does become a big part of people's life. However, from the outside looking in, a lot of folks can look at it and think, well, that's still work, and you're talking about work-life balance. How do you see it? Because I know when I look at all that, I look at the conferences and things, and I think that's not work. That's just me having a hobby. What's your approach
Right.
to that?
That's probably much what I see too. And I think if you talk to different MVPs, you're going to get different answers. Some people spend like most of their free time on contributions and planning for events and stuff. And I do it when I feel like it. And going to conferences that's mostly hanging out with lots of my friends, learning a bit, and getting my ego boosted a bit from getting feedback from having sessions.
Yep.
So I think that is really not work or anything hard for me at all. That's just fun. Definitely. And the more you get engaged in the community, the more these people become your really, really good friends. Like when I got sick, I don't know how many presents I got from all over the world because people were sending me stuff. And I'm like, yeah, these are actually my friends for real. It's not just that we share the same line of work. We're way more than that.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's what most people, it's a bad, I don't think it's a bad way to view it, but if people do view it as work, the burnout, I think, is more likely to happen because you're always in work then. It just never stops. So having that, okay, it is a bit of fun. You meet new people. I kind of view it as not work, and it's a fun thing to do, but I see it as, okay, I'm going to kind of grow myself as a person. So I'm going to add to me. Does that make sense? So
yeah, no, I totally agree.
Add to networking, add to presenting, add to even, being chatty and things like that. It's still really nerve-wracking walking into a room full of people you don't know. The nerves my tummy is going to be sick. Honestly, it's just to get so nervous. But putting yourself in that situation, I think, is good, because then, you're putting yourself out your comfort zone. You're growing as a person then. So I think it's good to have that kind of outlook, especially I'll do it when I want, is the best. Don't do a regiment. Pete, where's Pete on this show? One of our hosts.
Could learn a thing or
He,
two.
yeah,
He'll be
he
listening.
is. Yeah, he'll be listening. But one of our other co-hosts, he just does a lot for the communities. It seems like he's working pretty late on, blogs and the podcast. So we always tell him to chill out. So I feel like he should be listening, Pete.
Go to sleep, Pete, as Azure would
Go
say.
to bed, chill out.
I think that's a very interesting perspective, because as the Microsoft portfolio grows, it's impossible to know everything. I feel that this is way out of my hands. And before, I think I was kind of more insecure that I wanted to know the answers to questions I got. Like I was like, hope no one asks me that. And then I would like spend hours and just looking up that, and like, for what? I can just say, like, I have no clue. I can figure it out for you if you want to, and then I'll reach out back to you. But like, there's no shame in saying that you don't know something, or that you haven't heard of something. It's like, it's too big anyway. So just
it's so true. The amount of time that I've spent reading like docs.microsoft.com, reading some obscure document about something no one ever cares about, but I need to know it just in case the conversation comes up, just in case. But I kind of think you need to reach a certain point. I think it's inevitable. I think you have to go through that process of, I don't want to say burning yourself out, but you have to go through that process of getting really deep in it and really making sure you're confident and comfortable with it. And then you get to that curve, and then you're like, okay, I'm in I don't want to say my comfort zone, but I feel like I've achieved the status that people assign to me. And all of a sudden now I'm okay to say, nah, I don't know.
I think it's about finding out or feeling secure that you have one thing that you know very well. I don't know if this is a straight translation from Swedish, but like you talk about your competence as a T, that you have one really deep experience, and then you know most of it like a bit. And I think when you come to that point where you know something really deep, you get so much more comfortable with like, oh, I don't know that one. I don't know, but I know this thing. But if you don't know anything that deep, then you create that insecurity. Like, maybe I should know this. Maybe I should know this. Maybe. So I think that could be like, either you work yourself out, like you said, or you just find comfort in, okay, at least I know this.
And one thing that you mentioned when you were talking about kind of doing the talking and everything, you mentioned that you kind of get that ego boost, the validation. And it's true, you do get that, don't you? Because you kind of feel like, you go out and you're nervous, you get you get butterflies because you're about to do a public talk. You do it, you smash it, and then you're like, yeah, that was awesome. And I guess it's nice to have that feeling of accomplishment, I guess.
So I think always before a session, I was like, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. Why do I keep doing this? And then afterward, it's the most amazing feeling ever. And that's why I keep doing it. But yeah, I always have regrets before, and when I'm prepping and I'm like, how should I be able to talk about this?
The buzz after it, though, is
the buzz after
a bit
is
addictive.
Yeah, it's addictive.
It really is.
Yeah, it outweighs the nervousness, although you don't think that at the time. Yeah, it's definitely outweighs it. I did see actually going some of the other things that you've been involved in. So not just obviously speaking at conferences, but have you been getting more involved in mentoring recently? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Actually, I was also thanks to Mark Christie, who's organizing Scottish Summit. Because last year, they were doing the online version. I didn't submit because I prefer not to do online things. I do it if I'm asked personally, but I don't submit generally. So he's like, why haven't you submitted? You should be part of this. And I was like, okay, maybe I should. And then I was like, no, I don't feel like it. And then he's like, okay, never mind. I have another task for you. Do you want to mentor this woman? I think you would be a good fit. And I'm like, oh, yes, that sounds interesting. But then started out with lots of second guessing and like, oh, who am I to mentor, and what do I have to say to someone? Like, well, take someone who has more experience. What do I know? But I said yes, and I met this awesome woman called Vivian Voss, who got awarded MVP yesterday.
Oh wow. Well
Yeah.
done.
Well, I don't take credit, but she was so cool, and she felt that it was so nice to talk to a woman too that was not from the UK, because there's so many MVPs from the UK. And she was like, okay, someone in the community who's not from there, because she lives in Denmark. And she was so brave too. I'm so impressed by her, because she knew no one in the community. She was like, this sounds fun. I'm going to try to start being engaged in this, start like being on Twitter, submitting to speaking, and like so brave, so impressive. Yeah. So then I started mentoring her, and I've been mentoring a few others locally, and such, realizing that maybe I have something to share. I don't have to be perfect, but I can share what I've learned and my mistakes, and they can go their own ways anyways.
Amazing. I think that a lot of people feel like that as well. Like, if you were going to, like, oh, what do I have to give? What can anybody
Yeah.
learn off me? Yeah. Do you think it's changed you as a person doing the mentoring? Has it changed anything about you? Has it changed the way you approach things, or how you teach others, or has it had a bit of an impact, you mentoring someone else?
Good question. I don't know. Also, I got sick during my mentoring, so I like pulled in other people doing like, oh, can you help her out here? Can you help her out here? So I'm not sure how that impacted me more than I appreciate watching someone else grow in a way that I don't think I've appreciated as much before, to be honest.
Would you ever mentor a man, or would you prefer to mentor women?
Oh no, I would. I have been mentoring a man, so it has nothing to do with the sex of the person.
Fine. Because you mentioned as some people feel more comfortable being mentored by someone of the same sex. I don't know if I would want to be mentored by maybe a woman. Maybe not a man. I don't know.
Maybe you can have both.
Maybe both. Yeah, maybe I'll have more
That's
than.
true. You could have two mentors. Why not?
That's true. Yeah.
I've always assumed that Pete was kind of our mentor. I don't know what you can.
Yeah. Not. Yeah, I guess not officially.
Yeah, not officially.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like the what would you say? He's kind of like the Gandalf of our show, right?
I was gonna say the dad. But I don't think he'd like that, because he always talks about how he's older than us.
Gandalf is more flattering.
Gandalf is definitely more flattering.
Wise.
Wise, definitely. Yeah, we'll edit that better. It's fine. Oh, dear me. Is there so you're obviously mentoring other people, but is there someone that you've had as a mentor? Is there someone that has inspired you in the community? It could be a group of people or a certain person, or
I think I've had a lot of mentors on the way to where I am, but the biggest one who pushed me into the community part of it all was Jonas Rapp, which is my colleague too. He was actually the consultant when I was a customer, who let me do some of the stuff that I did.
Bad influence or good influence, however you want to.
Maybe he managed to hire me afterwards. So.
Well,
but yeah, he's been pushing and supportive, and he's a man. Yeah, so my mentor was a man, and yeah, just being there whenever I felt insecure and encouraging me. So
amazing. I think that there's so many groups of people within the community that are really supportive, and we talk about like, oh, it's a man, it's a man that supported me, when suggesting that maybe that doesn't happen too often. Whereas look at me, my mentor's a man as well. I didn't even know it. I didn't even realize it.
Well, statistically, it would make more sense if it be a man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's more
good
of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of us in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think in terms of in tech and women in tech and the position that they're in and the community? Is there more that we could be doing? Do you think there's not really an issue there? Is it a discussion to have, not to have? What's your kind of thoughts around that, women in tech and the community, and what could we do to get more women in tech?
Well, I think it's less about women in tech per se. I think it's more about because we're not equal, far from it. We still have lots of indifferences between us, and I think it's come from both genders. So it's not men treating women badly. I think it's both sexes treated women differently. Like, you unintentionally have expectations on women to be more nurturing, to be more empathetic, and to be like better with customers, maybe, if we're going to draw parallels to work. And men are more allowed to be angry than women are allowed. And like, these structural problems, I think, are more problems that is hindering women, no matter what business they want to try to get into, than actually talking about just women in tech in general.
So it's an overall problem, not a tech problem. It's a
I would say
happening in
so.
every
Yeah, because one of these prejudices that people have, and again, mostly unintentionally, is that men are better at tech than women are. So what do you expect from two people walking in a room? Who do you turn to when you have a tech question? Do you turn to the man in that position or the woman in that position? And it's like all these unintentional decisions that you make all the time that are biased, that you don't think are biased, because you're like, no, I just know Rue better than I know Kat, so I'm gonna go to him. No, it's biased.
but you don't realize that it is.
No, most
but
likely it's biased. So I don't think that you should actually do something about it more than talk about it and make people aware of it, because that's the only thing that can make a difference. If we're going to force people to like, oh, you have to pick women for this role because she's a woman, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. It's not going to be good.
I hate
You have
that.
to just,
I'd be so annoyed if I did something and I got it because I was a woman and not because of what I did. I'd be so angry.
And there's so many studies that also show that women who get that information that they put there because they are women, they perform less good because they become insecure about themselves instead. So it has like the opposite effect of what they actually can achieve, just because they feel that they're there for the wrong reasons. So yeah, I think it's a big structural problem, and we just have to talk about it more.
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty rarely that something good comes from being forced to do something, right?
No.
If you're forced to meet some criteria, it comes about from just appreciating the fact that you hire someone based on, are they the right candidate for the job? Do they fit the culture of the company? All that kind of thing, right? It's you don't want to meet a box ticking exercise, because that's just, I refuse to believe that humans are that stupid that we need to go through it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree.
That said, I hear it from my wife and her line of work, which isn't tech. And then I see it on places like LinkedIn and things. You'll see folks at conferences, man and the woman both standing in the same booth, and everyone goes to the man for the advice. And you just kind of have to facepalm and think, I don't know. And it's strange because maybe I'm in my own little bubble here, but I don't see it. So I'm like, where are these people that are being so stupid and making these decisions? But obviously they're out there.
That happened to me.
Really?
Happens all the time. I get
For
asked
God's sake.
frequently if people can ask me a technical question. Can I ask you a technical question? Even though I've just done like a whole hour session on like on like deploying teams and managing the admin center, yada yada yada. There's also been situations where I've got the sales guy in the room and they ask all the questions to the sales guy, and they have to put the question, say, oh no, sorry, Kat, you can answer this one.
That's the situation I've been in too. Like, they just look at the man in the room and I'm like, okay, we did presentations, we said what our roles were.
Even if you've shown your skills
to me. Yeah.
Exactly. Even though you've shown your skills, you've told them you know everything, here's how you do this, I'm teaching you stuff, they'll still be like, oh no, you obviously don't know. Especially if you're younger as well. And we're not like babies, but like the age that, well, we're all youthful here. But I think that I feel like the age thing comes into play because I'm dealing with a lot of older men is when that always seems to come up. And then if there's older women in the room, they tend to not, it doesn't happen, it seems to happen as often. So I don't know if that's related, but it's
I think it's related partly.
that I've seen.
Yeah, I think it's related. And unfortunately, I'm noticing the differences from when I was younger.
Yeah.
When people reacted. But I kind of, in the beginning, when I was really young and people were overlooking me, I kind of got a kick out of being like the underdog that people were like, oh, where did she come from? That was amazing. Yeah. Now I'm not that surprising anymore because people have higher expectations, but they still turn to the man. So yeah.
Yeah.
What you gonna
idiots.
Yeah.
Silly people. But I mean, we'll chip away at it on our Cloud Conversations podcast, women and, you know, women's rights and equality. So we're chipping away at it, trying to solve the big problem.
We're talking about it.
That's all we can do. But we do have one more question before we wrap up the session, which is a question that all of our guests get asked. Because it's now a rite of passage, it's a ritual, it's tradition, and we have to do it. Rue, do you want to do the honors of asking the question, or do you want me to go ahead?
I'll let you go for it because
you're making me nervous.
Oh, no, you're hyping up too much now. It's not even that good. No, I'm joking. Okay, so if you have seen the movies, if you haven't, that's fine. But if you've seen the movies Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, which one is better? And if you haven't seen them, that's okay.
Well, I accidentally seen parts of them when they're on TV, but they're really not my type of movie. Which one has a character named Sarah in it? Is it number 2?
Both of them? Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
Okay, then I like both.
They're either both good or they're both bad because they're not your type of film.
They're probably both bad.
Either way.
Yeah, I would not choose to put them on.
Not choose either one. That's fine. We are getting a few guests who've said neither or both. So it's getting mixed up a little bit. We're keeping a tally of, you know, who's.
So that's an acceptable answer. I didn't know. I thought I had to.
Oh yeah, it's totally acceptable.
No, yeah, we're not gonna like go and put it on. Go and put Terminator on. We'll wait.
Yes.
We'll wait for you to watch.
Let's do the recording in 2 hours. No, 4 hours.
That's it. We'll come back.
Yeah.
Dearie me. Well, that is all the questions that we had for the show. It's been absolutely amazing having you on.
Time flew.
Time does fly when you're having fun. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with where they can catch you next? Any, you know, your blog or anything like that you want to promote? Do a bit of.
I want to promote Nordic Summit. I hope I see everyone listening in Stockholm on 24th of September. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Be there.
Nordic Summit. We will get the link and we'll put that in the show notes. So if you're watching this and you want to register, you'll see the link down below. So make sure you do. Woo. But thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's been absolutely amazing. Thanks, Rue, as well, for co-hosting me on this episode. We forgot which number we're at now, if I'm honest. We've got rid of the episode numbers because we lost track.
Yeah.
It was too much. It was too much maths.
Episode is what's coming up.
There you go.
The one with the highest views and got the most subscribers. Is the one that you're watching. That's the main one. But Rue, thank you so much. Sarah, thank you so much. I hope you have a good evening. And if you want to, this is where Pete does it really well. We're on Twitter at CloudCon365. YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like. And we're going to share blog and the Nordic Summit links below as well. So make sure you check that out. I think that's it. I don't know if I did as good a job as Pete usually does, but we'll find out. That's what you're getting. So
he'll send you a score report.
He will. He'll send me a score. Right. Well, thanks very much, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.